Welcome back. Welcome back. How we doing, everybody? It's your boy Micro. We're gonna be doing just normal TA stuff. We're gonna be going over some cryptos because I've been trading those recently, and just a little bit of a recap on Coinbase specifically, as this was one of the charts that we went over last video 2 weeks ago. We've had a 100-point move since, just within 10 trading sessions. So it was an absolute banger of a play. And I also just want to say Ramadan Kareem to any of my Muslim followers out there. Inshallah, this Ramadan comes with ease and leaves with ease. And just keep making dua for our people back home in Palestine. But nonetheless, let's get right into it. I hope you guys make some money this week, and I hope you guys actually learned something. So let's do it. So we are starting out very, very big with Coinbase. Like we talked about the idea 2 weeks ago, a big level of rejection for us was this 160 level, and which literally verbatim I said would inevitably bring us down to this 115. After this 115, we ended up retesting these highs, rejecting from them, but also making a handle in the process. So this, again, was that cup and handle setup that I was talking about, and we have had a 100-point move since. So from 160 all the way to 270. I'm sorry, 110-point move since. So obviously with Bitcoin making all-time highs again, and with the entire market just in general, not only the crypto market, but also the stock market, right? Going insane, we have seen Coinbase move along with all of those. So with that being said, I mean, these are levels that we haven't seen in a good amount of time, right? This is around its IPO is when we were at 400. Yeah, so it IPO'd at 430. And now we're coming back into these specific levels that we have not seen since 2021, which is a massive, massive run up, right? So currently we closed, I believe, at around this 255 area. If we decide to stay, if we decide to hold, we need to hold 245, right? We're just going to go by psych numbers at this point. As these levels, sure, we've seen them, but we've only seen when the market reacts to the heavy selling at these levels, not where there may be heavy buying, correct? So from that, we can gather that this 245 level, I mean, 244.61, again, just call it 245, is going to be a very pivotal point for us to hold. Along with that, if we go down to this 240 level, so you see here how there's just a ton of confluence. There's buying and there's selling, majority selling, obviously, because I don't know who in their right mind would have bought it up here. But if we go back to the right and we go look at 240, this 240 area is a massive, massive, massive area for us. We rejected here, and then we broke out here, right? We retested, and then we broke back out here. So this 240 level is also going to be a big watch for me. If we do decide to hold it, then I believe that, currently I think Bitcoin will continue to make all-time highs. I think it should push towards that 100K mark, in my opinion. Maybe not right away, right? Maybe I'm wrong this week. Next 2 weeks, I'm right. You never know when it can happen, how fast it can happen. So, yeah, this 240 level is definitely what I'm looking to hold. If this 240 level doesn't hold, 232 I definitely see in the books. Rather 232.87. So that's what I'm looking for there. A break below that would be this 223 level. Below 223, we have 217.90, call it 218. Below that, 215, and we just continue to go a little bit further down after that. Under that 200, I definitely think that we would see this like 195 area, maybe max. But I don't even think we end up breaking this 200 within the next couple weeks, tell you the truth. Nonetheless, that's what I'm looking for to the downside. Now to the upside, I mean, from here, all we have to do is we tap 270, right? So from that 270 level, 270 right here, I would like us to see this right here, this 275.39 and this 282. 282 will be a very, very big level for us if we do decide to visit it. As you can see, we had a massive rejection here, massive rejection here, rejections here, and when we came back, we fell through, right? Whenever we broke up very, very heavy, but whenever we came down very, very heavy. So this 282 level is definitely a big level that I'm looking for, and obviously here as well, right? We had some buying pressure here, but when we came back down through it, we sold off very hard. So 282 is going to be a massive, massive, massive level for us if we do decide to test that, right? So my outlook honestly would be, I mean, nothing is impossible, right? We've seen SMCI, we've seen Nvidia, we've seen AMD, we've seen Coinbase, we've seen so many different examples of stocks running in such insane ways that I would not put it past Coin to go and try to test around this 300 level before maybe like a big pullback, right? That's genuinely what I believe. So above that, I would just like to see that 290 and then possibly a push into that 300. That's realistically what I'd like to see. But who knows if we even get that this week. Nonetheless, that is what I'm looking for on our beloved, absolute, incredible breakout of a move on Coinbase. So I know the lighting's a little bit different. It got kind of late pretty quick. So we're looking at SQQQ here. Again, this is just an inverse of QQQ, right? This tells us whether QQQ has been trending in an upward direction or in a downward direction, and this is a very big telltale sign of that. This goes up when QQQ goes down. This goes down when QQQ goes up. So it's just an inverse of tech, basically. So, with that being said and re-explained, we have seen nothing but downside for a very long time at this point, right? I mean, since about October, early November, we've seen nothing but downside on SQQQ. So just looking at it, just from this perspective, there is a massive chance that we continue to fall, right? And continue to build a big wedge, I guess, until we have our relatively healthy and much needed pullback. So again, not any specific TA on this, just kind of reminding you that there is a tool to use for you to understand the trend of the current market. So long as this continues to go down, we will continue to push up. Again, these are levels that we haven't ever seen, and even if we have seen them, it's not relatively important in terms of TA, in my opinion, at least. So yeah, it's kind of again just a little quick reminder. Now we are coming back to our beloved Nvidia after a wild earnings gap, as everybody knew they were going to be. It's kind of just been expected with the chip market and the chip sector at this point. We know that SMCI went absolutely nuts. We saw AMD go crazy. We saw obviously Nvidia go crazy off of their earnings. So there's a lot of different things that have happened with chips that has made them. I mean, it's like you just wake up and buy calls on a dip and you hold, and eventually they'll go either back to break even or send you way in profit, depending on where you buy. So obviously, as you can see, after our earnings gap, we decided to make all-time highs and then continuously make all-time highs and continuously make all-time highs until we finally rejected. We decided to reject around this 974, I think it was. Yeah, 974. 100 points. 100 points we decided to reject from that specific area. Now, if you look at the high of this candle, it's 897.24, right? And the low of this candle is 896.02. So obviously right here we have a lot of confluence, right? You have sellers in this area and you have buyers in this area. Now, when we came back through this 897, we ended up actually drilling another 30 points. So for us to come back, retest, and reclaim this level would actually be huge for us, and I think could continue to push us towards that 1,000 mark. However, if we do decide to go back, retest it, and we reject it, then I definitely do see us going a little bit lower. This 865.85 level, again, this is, a quote-unquote unprecedented level. It's kind of still in price discovery mode in terms of figuring out where its support is, where its biggest supports are, where its biggest resistances are. Obviously, 974 is one of those, right? Nonetheless, if we do end up breaking this 865.85, I would definitely like to see somewhere around this 835 to this 825 area. And I think that we would hold here if we did end up retesting this area. So upon that 865 break, again, I mean, maybe we see 837.41 first, 834, and then we see this 825 level. So that's kind of what I'm expecting if we do go to the downside. If we do end up getting this, I do think that we get bought up from here and we push higher towards that 1000 level, right? But if we decide to come over this 897 level and we hold, then I do think that we can push higher. We would have to break, obviously, 900, and we would have to hold over 900. But over that, I definitely think that we end up seeing this 930 level. Over that, we just continue to push higher, right? 950 to 1,000 to 50,000 to however much before people decide to stop buying. So that's kind of what I see and what my plan would be for Nvidia if we did get some downside. And if we did get some upside, it would simply be this 897 hold, that 900 hold, in order for us to continue higher. So the next idea we have on our list is, of course, another AI name. This one specifically being the massive tech conglomerate Microsoft. Microsoft has pushed to all-time highs, rejected, and is now trading. I probably should make this zone a little bit bigger, and is now trading within this specific range, right? This is a relatively strong range where you have a ton of confluence, right? That's just kind of what I see here. So this area right here, this 397.63, has been a massive area for us to continuously bounce off of in this range and just toy with all-time highs. But if we decide to go higher, we would need a big break over this, over 410 basically. This is where I believe we would get our big break to the upside, so long as we hold above that. Now, going higher than that, this level right here, this 412.36, call it 412.50. I think that we end up going higher again. From there, honestly, a really good break of this 415 and a hold over it would definitely send us higher. There was an analyst upgrade on this based off of how much revenue and profits AI and how Microsoft is leading with a lot of that, how much profits that's actually going to pull in quarter over quarter, how much it'll grow year over year. And the price target was, I believe, 475. Usually when companies get target upgrades, you definitely see a big move in them so long as the market is digesting the news really well, right? And that all depends on just the overall health of the market. So this is really good news for Microsoft, right? Because their revenue, their profits, their margins, all kinds of different things are increasing and decreasing. So in order for that news to actually have a playable effect, we definitely need to see the market react in such a way. So I'm telling you all of this because this amount of consolidation within this area around all-time highs can indefinitely push us a lot higher than where we're sat now. So I definitely would like to see all-time highs somewhere in the near future. But if we don't, talking about the downside now, we break that 397. We come to this 393 area. This 393 area, we come down to this 390 area, obviously, whole number, psych level, etc. And then, honestly, I believe we visit this 385. So long as this 385 holds, or rather this 384.38, so long as this level holds, I definitely think we can still, make that big push towards all-time highs. But if we do end up getting this low, obviously there would be something, the health of the market, quote unquote, would not be very, very good, right? That would signify a definite change in tide for the time being. So that's kind of what I see with Microsoft. I apologize for the long explanation, but that's just my thesis behind the trade and why it makes sense to me for this to push higher rather than push lower. So yeah, that's Microsoft. So when we're talking about chip names, obviously we can't just not talk about Avgo, right? Obviously, I had a lot of TA on it prior, but I have not traded this name in a good minute just due to premiums being as much as my mortgage. It's kind of ridiculous and insane for me to try to justify trading that. Nonetheless, they just had earnings. They grew 40% year over year, I believe, and their EPS was up like 8%, something like that. And they ended up not even doing too well in terms of the market reaction. The market reaction to this was not, obviously, as you can tell, was not very healthy, which is kind of a weird thing, seeing that the trend has been the market digesting the news positively, in turn pushing the stock higher into all-time highs usually, as of recently rather. So the market not digesting this well was kind of weird to see, but that 1400 psych level up here, when this ended up breaking in the morning, it was a perfect short. I mean, you literally could not have asked for anything better. It was like a 100-point move, I believe. Even then, again, the premiums were absolutely ridiculous. We're talking like $600 maybe per contract for $100 out. So that was kind of crazy. Nonetheless, this area right here, this specific area, 13, 18, 18. This is the level I wanted to talk about because, as you can see, we rejected it so many times. But after we broke out of it, we ended up mooning. I mean, we moved, what is this, 13, 18 to what? 1439. What was the high? Don't tell me. Okay, 1438. So yeah, we got a 100-point move just based off of this break. Now that we've come down to this level and we broke through, obviously we sold off really hard from it. I would like to see this 1285 retested again, as during earnings, this was retested, right? And we ended up getting a pushback higher, yada, yada, yada. But if we do end up coming back down to this level and we do break, I definitely see some really, really good potential for downside. But again, as chips have been going nuts and the market with chips has been going absolutely nuts, there's definitely a possibility that we do see another bounce. And if we do see another bounce here, then it's going to confirm this. Obviously, it's already been confirmed as support, right? But it's going to add more conviction to this level of support. So yeah, I would just look for a bounce at this 1285 level if 1300 doesn't hold. And if we do end up getting that, then our move over 13, 18, 18 needs to be relatively strong, because if we do end up breaking back through it, we definitely can climb higher, right? Again, as we saw here, a multitude of rejections, one big breakthrough, and we ended up seeing all-time highs. Will we see all-time highs again? There's obviously a massive possibility. But in order for us to do that, we have to move over this 13, 18 level. So moving forward, what do I see after that? I would like to see this 1329.04, call it 1330, be retested, 1332.99, and then a push above that would give us 1347, 1347 to somewhere around this 1360 and 1370. Those are kind of just the short-term price targets for it, so long as we do end up bouncing and going to the upside. Now, speaking about the downside again, what would I like to see? This 1285 get broken to maybe retest this 1267.17 level. If not there, then where would we retest? Possibly somewhere around here, this 1280 level. 1280 level breaks, then I do see this 1267.17 down to 1260, and then 1260 possibly down to that 1250. So that's all that I'm really looking for on Avgo. So with our first crypto name of the night, we have obviously Bitcoin, right? We have the market leader, the big kahuna, if you will, when it comes to everything crypto. Bitcoin definitely revolutionized the way digital currency works and everything in between. You know the entire spiel about it. So these are the two scenarios, and just real quick disclaimer, these are from like 2.5 years ago. These lines are ugly as fuck, but they did end up helping me a lot. So I'm just going to leave them as is, as a good reminder of how far I've come from using the massive green thick lines. So bear with me on that. I had two scenarios. The first scenario was that we were in a big head and shoulders and we would end up breaking down under this 40,000. That ended up not happening. My second scenario was that we ended up getting pushed into an inverse head and shoulders. And the break of this, the confirmation of this, was around this $45,000 level, right? So once that ended up breaking, I definitely saw that Bitcoin was going to continuously push higher. And this ended up actually paying not only with Coinbase, but also with some of the crypto trading, excuse me, that I've done recently. So what do I see? Now that we have touched all-time highs, and we were briefly above 70,000. I know it might not show it here, but we were briefly above 70,000 on multiple exchanges. I definitely think that we continue higher. I mean, I don't see why we would have to come all the way back down to this $50,000 level. If we end up coming down to this $50,000 level, it honestly would give me more conviction that we would go back to all-time highs and continue to push higher. I believe going into this Bitcoin halving and just, again, I always say it, the crypto market going insane, we should see a push towards that $100,000 area. I don't see why we wouldn't. Will it take us a minute to get there? Sure, for sure, absolutely. But I do think that inevitably that area does come into play sometime in possibly the near future. I just don't know why we wouldn't continue to push higher, right? I get we're at all-time highs. Anything can happen at all-time highs. Maybe I could be absolutely wrong and we go all the way back down to 15,000. But me personally, I just don't believe that that'll happen. So from here, I would just go by psych levels, right? I would say I want 75,000, then 80,000, retest of 75,000, push to 85,000, things like that. I mean, we've seen what Bitcoin could do on just an overnight basis, right? I mean, overnight we went from 50,000 to 55,000. So quite literally anything can happen. And then even after a $5,000 push, we went from 55,000 to 57,000. I mean, it's just Bitcoin moves in ridiculous ways and can continuously go higher, in my opinion. So that's kind of what I see for Bitcoin. Just big psych levels coming into play. As you can see, I mean, 64,000 here. And what did I say again? 57,677.24. Areas like this is where we would definitely end up seeing bigger moves to the upside. I mean, huge moves to the upside, huge moves to the downside as well. Anything and everything can happen. So that's kind of what I see for Bitcoin. So the next crypto on our list is actually Algo. This is the daily chart. I just kind of was going through. I trade everything, anything and everything that I can trade with futures. I'll trade. Does not matter to me. What the coin does, I really don't care. I just like to look at charts and play the price action based off of those charts. So we have Algo right here. I see an inverse head and shoulders on the daily chart as, we go into alt season especially. Algo was actually one of the more favored names back in the, 2021 run? Yeah, I mean, back in the 2021 run, Algo was definitely one of the more favored coins. So I definitely see some potential with this, right? Now, would this trade take quite a while? Yeah, honestly, I think it would. Only because there are a multitude, it's kind of like how XRP trades, right? Whenever XRP is, within these patterns, and I remember when it was in this massive downtrend at one point, eventually it's going to break and it's going to break super hard, but I definitely think that this would take a little bit of time. Now, that break, however, the break that we do end up getting, in my opinion, happens if we close over this 30-cent level. Yeah, just 30 cents. I think that we definitely end up pushing higher. So just keep an eye out for this specific setup, as obviously inverse head and shoulders usually do pay very, very well. So Just a quick idea. So next on our list is actually XRP. As you can see, this was the downtrend that I was talking about. Massive break. We ended up pumping, I believe, like 100%, nearly 100%, and then just continued to get bought up off of the dips. It's basically all that happened, and honestly, all that does continue to happen with XRP whenever we do decide to retest this trend line. So, what do I see for XRP? So long as we keep holding this trend line, I think that we continue to climb higher, obviously. A break of this, I would like to say this 68, 69 area, 69 cent area should indefinitely send us towards the 75, 76 cent area. Above that, we probably see 85 cents. Above that, closer to $1, 95 cents, right? If not there, then definitely 91 cents. So, again, I mean, this thing loves to consolidate and make massive moves, right? It's just kind of what it does. So, again, as you can see, we just had another big downtrend, and this downtrend getting broken inevitably sent us a little bit higher, right? So look out for these because they're repeatable on XRP, entirely repeatable. I mean, here you have a downtrend break. Obviously, here you have a downtrend break. Here you have a downtrend break. You know what I mean? Like it's just a continuous thing, especially if you're trend trading. This is not something that is abnormal when a stock is currently in an uptrend. So just look out for these patterns on XRP, as they tend to pay the best and are some of the most reliable patterns to actually trade.